Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today is a super exciting day for me, and you know that when I say that, that means that this is something that is really cool and really special to look at, and that's because this is another of the Walking with Dinosaurs figures. This is now the third of these figures that I have managed to acquire over the past few months. These are figures that have kind of eluded me my entire life, until now that I'm finally able to start buying some of them, even though they are ridiculously expensive because they are long discontinued. I'm starting to make some sort of headway when it comes to collecting these and trying to get the entire set, which will probably never happen. But like I said, this is now my third, and you can see that it is Big Al, the Allosaurus, or at least one of the Allosaurus figures from the Walking with Dinosaurs series. I guess maybe it's not exactly Big Al, but regardless, it definitely looks like him, and it is beautiful for sure. All three of these Walking with Dinosaurs figures that I've received so far have completely exceeded my expectations with just how nice they honestly were for the time that they were made. They are really beautiful, and I think hold up really well to even today's standards of figures. And as far as looking the part when it comes to a Walking with Dinosaurs Allosaurus, they completely nailed this and knocked it straight out of the park for sure, because it really looks just like Big Al or the other Allosaurus from Walking with Dinosaurs. So I'm super psyched. Let's go ahead and get a closer look at this guy right now. So starting up at the head sculpt, look how beautiful this is. The paint application on this might be chipped here and there, which you can kind of see up here on the top, because again, it's a very old figure and it's definitely seen a lot in its day, but I think with the paint app that is still included, it looks really nice. The detailing of the head sculpt is just off the charts incredible in my opinion. Look at all the beautifully sculpted out scales up around the eye and down here in the cheekbone area. It's really nicely sculpted. The detail around the eye also looks really good, as does the detail and sculpt up here on the snout. You can see the nostrils sculpted out there and painted with a blackish coloration to really elaborate them. You can kind of pick up on some larger, like osteoderms type scales up here on the top part of the snout. I think the paint application here in general looks really nice, very realistically applied. It looks to be painted with an airbrush. The eye is painted beautifully as well. There's not really any type of a gloss or anything, but it kind of appears to shine in the light. But I think that just might be due to the black paint that they used. You can see the teeth down here are sculpted beautifully, honestly, and they look really nice. They were painted pretty nice, but you can see up here on the front a little bit of the paint has kind of been worn off and chipped off. I may try to touch this up at some point, but I'm not really sure. The detail on the underside of the jaw here looks great as well, along with some nice osteoderms and stuff right there. If we look at the opposing side, the teeth look even better over here. Really love the way they painted those teeth. There's no sloppiness anywhere. So a lot of care was really taken when it comes to these Walking with Dinosaurs figures. Again, the head sculpt looks just absolutely beautiful on this side and really looks pretty much identical, I think, to the Walking with Dinosaurs Allosaurus. So that shows just how much time and work went into this, and Toyway really nailed it when it comes to the appearance and looking like a Walking with Dinosaurs Allosaurus. As we start to run back along the neck, you can see just a ton of movement going on. Lots of skin wrinkling and some saggy skin here in the neck region and throat region. But you can see lots of curves in the neck and lots of creases and everything going on. Even though the dinosaur has its head pretty much straight forward, you could just see so much going on when it comes to the sculpting of the skin detail. You can start to see a few osteoderms pick up here and there. When you get down here, the shoulder blade looks great there. Really nicely elaborated from the skin. You can see that the hands look very good as well. The nails are a little bit sloppy painted like here and there, but for the most part they look great. They kind of transition from a dark gray to a little bit of a lighter gray in the hands. You can get a sense of the musculature there of the arms as well. Some nice skin wrinkling and skin folding here in the stomach region. Beautiful skin texture here in the stomach as well. You can almost pick up on the rib cage a little bit there, but not too much. But as I do turn this, you can see that there is some nice striping going on there in the stomach. Again, very reminiscent of the paint scheme of the Walking with Dinosaurs Allosaurus. You can see the nice spinal column that runs down here along the animal. There is the hip bone and some beautiful musculature here in the thigh. As you get down into the legs, you can definitely see some very large bulging calf muscles there. Really nicely sculpted Allosaurus feet, very bird-like, which looks great. You can see the dew claw back there, but unfortunately, it doesn't really look like there's any paint on the dew claws, which is a little bit of a downside, but I don't think it takes away from the figure very much. And in fact, it may have just been chipped off, I'm not entirely sure. You can see some nice skin folding and skin wrinkling going on right here behind the thigh. Beautiful sculpt and detail. Again, the skin texture looks fantastic. So many cracks and creases and crevices in the skin that run the entire way out here to the end of the tail to a beautiful point right there. I think the tail looks fantastic, and you can see just how nice the transition is between the darker coloration to the lighter underbelly. Really beautifully transitions there very naturally. You can also see the cloaca is present. Again, very realistic, especially for its time. Lots of beautiful detailing on the underside of the Allosaurus as well. You're not really going to see any difference on this side when it comes to the sculpt and detail compared to the other side, because it's in a completely neutral position, pretty much as all the Walking with Dinosaurs figures are. So this side looks pretty much just the same as the other side, but that means that it looks equally as beautiful everywhere you look. It is honestly a fantastic looking Allosaurus, and as far as a Walking with Dinosaurs Allosaurus, I don't think you're ever going to find any better than this. One thing that really quite impresses me about the figure is if you look at how small those feet are, it can actually balance and stand on its own, and it does a pretty good job of doing it, honestly. It doesn't really have very much of an issue balancing. I mean, if I poke it back here, it's going to fall, but the fact that it can balance out at all and does a pretty good job really does impress me quite a bit. If we take a look at the size of our Big Allosaurus, from the head to the tail, you are looking at about 11 inches or about 28 centimeters in length, and the highest point is probably going to be the head, so about 4 inches or 10 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, and you can see that this Allosaurus definitely can hold its own as far as size goes in comparison to the Papo Rex. As the Papo Rex is a very large figure, this Allosaurus shows you that he doesn't quite compete when it comes to size, but what he does have is a decent bit of size as far as an Allosaurus goes. I would say it's pretty close to a 1/35th scale Allosaurus. And for another size comparison, and to also show you that these figures are not to scale with each other, there is the Allosaurus next to the Utah Raptor from the Walking with Dinosaurs series. So you can see that the Utah Raptor is actually quite a bit taller, but I think in length they're pretty similar, but the Utah Raptor might take it in length as well. But regardless, both of these are beautiful figures, and for yet another size comparison, there is the Walking with Dinosaurs Polacanthus. So now you've got all three of my current Walking with Dinosaurs figures that I do have in my collection all together, giving you a good idea of how well they size up against each other. They are definitely pretty sizable figures, and I'm honestly in love with all three. So this Walking with Dinosaurs Allosaurus from Toyway is off the charts awesome. I'm going to go ahead and say that as of right now, this is probably my favorite out of all of the figures that they have, or at least I guess that I have from the Walking with Dinosaurs series. I think honestly the only one that could potentially push this one out would be the Postosuchus if I ever get that one. So there's a chance that the Postosuchus may beat out Big Al here, but it's going to be very tough to do because this thing looks fantastic. I think considering how old these are, the detail and sculpt of this is extremely impressive, even more so impressive than if this figure were made today, because it is honestly so insanely well sculpted, and for how long ago it was sculpted, it truly blows me away with the attention to detail and the minute detailing of the figure. I think that they've done an absolutely perfect job of replicating the Walking with Dinosaurs Allosaurus when it comes to the sculpt. The paint doesn't look quite perfect when it comes to what you saw on the actual documentary version in the film, but it's definitely very close. I think it's close enough that it really does look quite beautiful. The paint applied is all very nicely, very naturally applied. It all transitions amongst each other beautifully and really, really realistically. And I think they pretty much nailed this Allosaurus in every aspect when it comes to looking just like the film version. Again, the paint is just the only thing that's slightly different, but it's not enough that it's even a slight concern, because it would be pretty hard to perfectly replicate that dinosaur, as it did have quite a bit going on when it comes to its paint scheme, but I think this is definitely good enough. So this Allosaurus is fantastic, and if you have a chance to pick one of these up, I highly, highly recommend that you do just that. I will try to find one on eBay for you guys, but I don't know quite what the price will be, as I know it's pretty expensive to get a hold of one of these in general. So check the description. If not, go give it a search on eBay and try to find one yourself, because they are honestly worth the hunt. But before you do all that, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell to be notified of any future videos, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.